Woo, woo. I think, who votes that the MC should get a free prize at the end of the day? Ben. Democracy, they voted. All right, one question before we start, very important question. Who here has not had coffee? 2 coffees? All right, excellent, excellent. Red Bull? All right, we're going to kick off the day with my good friend, Seth Juarez, cloud developer advocate.
Yes, sir.
How's that? And a good guy. And I'm excited to hear what you have to say, man.
He says
Own
that
it.
to all people. I'm a good guy. How is everybody this morning? I understand that time in Israel is like time in Mexico, where everything kind of just loosely starts. Is that true? So this is pretty amazing to be here. I have like the most interesting name, right? Seth is like a very like Hebrew name, right? And then Juarez is like the most Hispanic name you could ever get. It's probably the first time you see these 2 things. And the important thing is they told me that I only had 15 minutes to explain everything. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to be talking about building intelligent applications of the future now, because it feels like, particularly with AI, it's like blockchain. You know, if you have AI and blockchain and something else in your startup name, then you're going to make it's the most amazing thing ever, right? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, because it feels like when it comes to AI, these are the instructions we get. It's like, okay, just like drawing, here's 2 circles. And then the details, right, are there. So my job is to explain the gap in 15 minutes with AI. I'm not going to tell you that people are going to spend $50 billion on this in the next year, and you need to spend $10 billion if you're going to do anything. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you how to make something today, because I feel the future of AI is you. AI is just a technique to write code. You are the future of what we do with software and AI, and your ideas are what are going to power the next generation of applications that are infused with AI, give us really good experiences, and are fully data-driven. So let's start. How do we go from idea to reality when it comes to AI applications? First of all, what does AI even mean? AI started all the way back in the 1950s with tons of cool algorithms. Like much of the machine learning you read about actually started in 1954 with Frank Rosenblatt. So it's not like this stuff is really new. It's just now we have the computational power to actually do it. So let's talk about how you can harness it today. The way I like to think of AI, particularly machine learning, is instead when you write code, when you're trying to solve a problem, you come up with a series of steps, right? We all think about steps, and we talk to our customers and we say, hey, what steps do I need to follow in order to solve this problem? Machine learning is different. Instead of coming up with a series of steps, instead you give the computer examples and it comes up with an algorithm. Right? We have to choose the models that we give it, and then it figures out the best parameters, and then we come out with this thing called a model. Just like nobody knows how a PDF is written. Has anyone ever looked at the binary of a PDF? Nobody cares, but you use a library and it generates a PDF and you're happy, right? Nobody cares how this works. And so when it comes to AI, there's really, I think, 3 paths that you can follow to build applications today. The first is using pre-built AI. There are certain AI problems that have been solved. For example, if you give the computer a picture and it finds where somebody's face is, that's kind of a solved problem, yeah? So why don't we just use a library, just like we would use for a PDF, to build a PDF. And we have something like that. We have something called cognitive services, which infuses your apps, websites, and bots with intelligence, the stuff that we already know how to do, and we have a lot of them. For example, computer vision, or here's an example. Maybe you sell a product at a kiosk and you want to see if someone looks at your product, do they look happy? We have something for that. It's called Emotion API. We also have something called Face API, which give you a box around their face. And so your new whiz-bang product, if you want it to have AI infused at the kiosk, you'll be able to know how people feel about your stuff right away. You just call it. Another one, for example, let's go with language. There's something called text analytics, which will tell you in a sentence which are the keywords in there. Without you having to do anything, you just call it. It's pretty easy. So step number 1 is if you want to use AI, go and look at the catalog of services that are available. we think ours is the best, but use any of them. I don't care. Just I want you to be successful with AI. Go find one and put it in your app and see what happens. That easy. So using pre-built AI. But sometimes, for example, you might have very specific pictures, or you might have very specific text, or you might have very specific video. And so the other path that you want to follow is to customize your pre-built AI. And we can do that too. Right? For each one of our services, we have custom versions of it. I'll give you an example. Let's just say you want to you work at a construction place, and you want to be able to detect objects in video. But they're very specific objects, like a jackhammer. Let's just say you don't want those things laying around on the floor, and you want to build your own AI in order to do that. The easiest way to do that is to use something called Custom Vision Service, where you can give it pictures of things, and it will learn how to distinguish between them. And you just call it. Right? If you've ever, let's just say you want to detect if there's a hot dog or not. Give it pictures of hot dogs or not hot dogs, and then it will learn to distinguish it itself. Another one, for example, is LUIS, Language Understanding and Intelligence Service. Oh, he's taking the mic. I thought he was going to take me out. Language Understanding and Intelligence Service. Imagine giving the computer a series of a sentence, and then the computer responds with, okay, here's what the text is talking about, and here's what they want to do with it. Example, let's just say you want to create your own bot to offload some of your support services, because in the end, 80% of support is here, go to this FAQ, right? Let's be honest. Just read the doc. What you can do is with LUIS, you can actually have the thing pick out, I'm having trouble with Windows, for example, if you use Windows, or Linux, or Service A that you sell. So it picks out the entity, and then it picks out I'm having trouble with. And so what they want to do, the intent is they want to be able to figure out, is this working or not? So you can take those things and actually run a search using one of our search things, and then respond, hey, does this help? And you can even summarize that thing by itself so it looks like you're not searching for them and then returning the search, because that's kind of rude, right? So you can do that today. So we have custom services. Does this have a? Okay. So we have the ability to customize each one of these pre-built AI. All right. So sometimes this is not enough, right? So the first step is use pre-built AI. Sometimes it's not enough, and you want to do something more custom. So use customized pre-built AI. You can customize it, or you can build your own custom AI. Right. And this is probably what everyone's interested in, because it sounds cool, but in reality, a lot of the stuff that you want to do, you can already just do. So start easy. For an engineer will say start easy first, and then we'll work our way to the hard, right? Because that's the easiest way to do things. Okay, so how does this work? Now, let me tell you a quick story, because I think I only have 5, 6, 7 minutes left. Who works at a bank? Okay, there's always one guy. Right, and I feel bad because there's a show in the U.S. called Dirty Jobs where they go and there's the guy that cleans toilets. I feel bad for the DBA at a bank, right? That should be on Dirty Jobs because their data is horrible. So imagine one day you, sir, I don't know what your name. Let's call you Bob. Is that your real name? Yes, Bob. They come to Bob and they say, hey, Bob, the CEO has a really good idea. He loves the idea of using AI, and what he wants you to do now is when people put checks inside of the bank teller machine, we want you to detect whether it's upside down or not. And Bob's like, that's easy, because we're a really bad bank, and our checks have a black stripe at the top, right? All the programmers in here are easy. We just need to sample some of the top of the check, right? And if there's black in there, it's right side up, otherwise flip it, right? Easy. So Bob's a good programmer. He solves it in 10 minutes. Good job, Bob. Right after Bob solves it, the guy comes back and says, our CEO loves cats, and he has one cat named Fifi, and we want to make sure that he can put a picture of his cat Fifi on the check. And Bob's like, that stinks, but it's just this one thing, right? Anytime someone says just this one thing to a programmer, fear strikes into our hearts. It's just this one thing. But Bob's a good programmer. He says, okay. Right? It's just this one picture. I can detect some pixels of the paw. If it's at the top, it's upside down. We'll flip it. Right? Then the guy comes back and says, Bob, Good job. I know that took 40 minutes instead of 20. But now the CEO wants you to actually let anybody use any picture on any check. Do you see the problem? This is where AI comes in, or machine learning. When you have a problem where you have to change like a 0.5 to a 0.8, or you have to add an extra if statement and you feel like you need to go home and take a shower because you've written some really interesting code, that's when you know you might use AI. And the way it works is you have to ask a very specific question of the computer. I'll give you an example. Is it a hot dog or not, right? Which class does this belong to? What's the number output? Should I recommend something? Does this belong to a group? Those kinds of questions are the questions that machine learning can answer. And it always starts with a sharp question. Once you have that sharp question, you got to look at what you got. And that's usually what the data is. Once you know what your data is, and you understand, okay, I have this data, then you need to start running some experiments. And now I think in my developer session I'm doing later, I'm going to do a deep dive on deep learning so that you understand that these things are not mysterious. They're literally learning a bunch of numbers. And anyone that sells you mystery also has blockchain offerings. No offense. Right? So you experiment, you try things out. It turns out that the word science means glorified guess and check. That's what science is. Remember the scientific method they taught at school? You have an idea, you test it, it doesn't work, you go back to idea, you test it, it doesn't work, but kind of, and you move on, right? And that's how data science works. You create a bunch of experiments. People are very excited about deep learning because it does some amazing things, but you may just need a decision tree. You may just need logistic regression, which are other algorithms that you can use with AI. Super easy to use. But you got to try it out, you got to have data, and you got to have a specific question. Once you experiment, then you produce this thing called a model. Now, when I say machine learning model, I think of something like an assembly or a jar file or some binary that you call. That's all I think of those things. You give it input, and it produces an output of what it learned. That's it. It's not anything more mysterious than that. Again, anyone that says it is probably uses the term unicorn. No offense, because we're good friends. We're good friends, right? So a model is just a unit of execution that's been created in a different way. Instead of steps, it learned from data. Once you have a model, you need to learn you need to deploy it. And you need to put it out into production. And that's where it seems a little mysterious, right? But if you think of a model as a jar file, a binary, or an assembly, we know what to do with those things. So we have services that help with all of that. We call it the AI platform. And the thing about it is we don't care what you use. You can use anything. I use TensorFlow, which Google makes. It's a great product. Use whatever you want. Bring whatever you want. We just hope you use our clock cycles, right? That's all I'm asking. Because that's what we sell. We sell clock cycles. We sell services that are designed to help you use our clock cycles because we want you to be successful. So we have AI services, we have AI infrastructure, and we have AI tools. All of these things together allow you to go from data to experiment to model to deployment. That's what they're there for. They're there to help you do that. And we have tons of them. Like, for example, if you want to use, look, they put it on the slide for me, TensorFlow, or Cognitive Toolkit, or Cafe2, or MXNet, or Keras, or anything you want to use, we want to help you with. Imagine being able from your iPad to run a deep learning model and test it because you're using it on some virtual machine that has 4 GPUs on it. That's pretty amazing, right? You can look at it. Oh, it looks like it's getting smarter. That's the amazing thing, that we live in this cloud-first world. Just to give you the options, because I only have a minute and a half left. When you're looking at using AI today, start easy. Are there things that have already been solved? Yes, use those. Are there things that have already been solved, but you want to change it up just a little bit? Yes, then use pre-built AI, but customize. Is there something completely unique to your business? Yes. Then we have AI tools, infrastructure, and services to help you with that. Now, here's the important bits, right? I brought my badge, right? Because in order to get into the building, they gave us a badge. And when we talk about what it is that we do as a company, they actually put, and I'll take this out here, on the back of my employee badge, it says, our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And I always add with AI, because that's what I focus on. So our job is to help empower you to actually use this today. Today. not tomorrow, not with some idealistic version. And when it comes to the future of AI, the future of AI is you. I'm excited to hear the ideas that you are going to tell me about, because I want you to tell me what they are. I'm excited to see the products that you build and the experiences that you develop. I'm excited to see how you take AI, which is just another way of writing code, and change it into something that changes people's lives today. Because all of you have these great ideas. And it's your ideas that are going to empower everyone and empower us to take what we have today and take us into the future. Thank you so very much for your time.
Wow, man. Exactly on time. Woo! Impressive. I told you we have a good lineup today. But I also, forget the content, Seth, I saw some belly laughs here with your jokes, man. To make people laugh like that at a tech conference, it's impressive. You know who's in Israel right now? Or was here yesterday at least? You guys know? Are you following some Instagram feeds? Somebody who's a giant in our industry. You guys know? Mayim Bialik. Yeah, Elon Musk is here. Or he was yesterday. I don't know if he left. You know who Mayim Bialik is? Blossom? All right, just making sure. So, yeah, that was a great piece of content right there. And, I mean, I'd love to hear him all day, but we got to move on. And thank you for being on.